Greetings, I'm Paul Friedman, founder of the Marriage Foundation. The topic we're going to discuss when we come back is my husband looks at every woman. Welcome back. I'm Paul Friedman, founder of the Marriage Foundation. This topic is my husband looks at every woman. And we're going to get into this in quite some depth. And then additionally, later on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you more information about our premier offering, which is the online course for women, the online marriage saving course for women. And we're going to talk about it because that way we could get into things that really will make a difference for you. And that's all we want. We want to make a difference for you. We want your marriage to be fantastic. So let's begin by talking about why your husband would do that in front of you. Because let's face it, it's kind of humiliating, and if it's not insulting. So some women who are what you might call courageous, I tell them, look, if he's looking at another woman, you go up to that woman and you tell her, why are you flirting with my husband? You put it on her, and that's going to get your husband's attention, and it will set up a barrier. Now, that's truthfully only good maybe 20% of the time. For most women, you're dealing with a husband who is sending you a message. Now, he's not intentionally sending you a message, but what you want to do is you want to take it as a message. You see, it's sort of like when you're driving down the road and you see a young kid driving the car in front of you. The fact that he's a young kid or she is sending you a message that there's potential danger there, and you have to steer clear of them so that you don't get into an accident that they're probably going to cause. You know, most kids have at least an accident or two before they're 24, 25, hence the insurance rates going up at that time. So your husband is sending you an unintentional message. That message is, honey, I'm not really getting everything I need out of the marriage. Now, I'm not blaming you. I'm not saying that this is why he's looking at women. It's not why. Because honestly, it's not a nice thing to do. It's a horrible thing to do. But let's cut him a little bit of slack, not a lot, because what he's doing is wrong. But let's cut him a little bit of slack and acknowledge that in our society, in Western society, looking at other women is not frowned upon. I frown upon it. I think it's horrible. You frown upon it because you're feeling the effects. But in society, you look at any TV show, you look at any movie, you look at other men, and you see that looking at women is sort of commonplace, isn't it? So what should you do? I'm going to tell you something that will ring true, and that is you cannot change your husband. Now, you can inspire him. You can inspire him to start paying attention to you when he's thinking of looking at another woman. And that is actually the very best remedy. And you could do that in different ways. You could do it on the spot, which is okay, but it's temporary. My preference is that you do it in a way that changes everything about your marriage. Again, it's not your responsibility to change everything about your marriage. It's more your opportunity. Now, some women come to us, they're so angry about their husband, and all they really want is they want to know, how do I tell him off? How do I make it really clear? How do I get him to accept that this is not acceptable behavior? Well, whatever you do won't work. I have a lot of background. Until 2001, I was actually a divorce mediator, and I helped people separate the kids separate the finances, separate their assets and all of that. And then a young couple asked me to help them save their marriage because I was a communications expert. And so I agreed. And I thought at that time, the trend was if you were having a bad marriage, it was all because of communication. Well, communication is definitely part of marriage, but it's not the essence of marriage. So what I'm going to ask you to do, and I'd like you to go to the comment section, and I'd like you to tell me what's happening in your specific situation so that I can share with others what you, unnamed of course, what you are going through. And in fact, if you want to put it in as a question, that's fine too. You know, what do I do? My husband doesn't just look at other women, but he's sexting them and da 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 da. Whatever is going on for you, let me know. And if you don't feel like it, we also, if you go to our website, we have a free service where you can ask a counselor. And we've been doing this for 25 plus years. So this isn't a scam. This is the real deal. But I'd like you to inform us in the comments section. Also, you know, something has come up where we're talking about going live and answering marital questions live. And so what I'd like you to do now, the way that would work is you would type in your question and then I would respond verbally. And those would be much longer videos. So if you have a question like that, put that in now also. And you could like the video if you wish. So what I really want you to do is I want you to see that your marriage can be transformed by your efforts alone, not with his help. And you could transform it from a Cadillac going off-road, and it's all shaky and it's really not working, into a Maserati traveling on the best highway ever, the highway of love, to the place of happiness and harmony. And I'm going to tell you why I'm asking you to do that. I'm asking you to do that because I know, I don't speculate and I don't theorize. I know that it's very possible for you to have the most amazing marriage, unheard of, that you never hear about, but your marriage can be that way. So when I helped this first couple, I was faced with a question. How do I help them? I'm not a Western psychologist, although many of them were and are my friends, and I've trained many. But I came up with teachings about marriage that are so unusual. Some say they're very esoteric. They're not really tied to this or that. But the truth is that they work. The teachings that I have are all about, and they're based on very simple premises. The number one premise is this: you got married to be happy. Your husband got married to be happy. The one thing that universally creates happiness is love. And both of you forgot about that. And so Western psychology and other marriage helpers, they look at the problems and they go, what can we do to fix this problem? Well, sure, you can do it that way, but then it's just going to be replaced with another problem. However, if what you're focused on is creating the most amazing marriage imaginable, then, and this is what's so cool, those problems just become smaller and smaller as you see them in the rear view mirror, and your marriage improves. That's what I want you to focus on, not fixing this, because the truth is, let's be honest, please be honest, that's just one problem. You know, you're not talking about, oh, we have an amazing marriage. He really takes care of me. He spends on me. He dotes on me. He compliments me. He takes care of the kids. He's the perfect husband, but he's got this one little problem where he looks at every woman. No, that's not what's going on. There's a whole slew of things. But if you're focused on recreating your marriage into a perfect marriage, all the problems disappear. And that's the truth. That's the truth. Now, I promised you I would talk about our online course for women. What I learned early on when I started working with couples and individuals was that couples counseling is horrible. It's worse than not working well. It's a setup for competition. It's a setup for blaming. It's a setup for pointing the finger. It's a setup for sometimes one or the other flirting with the counselor. It just doesn't work. And I spoke, after I saw this within a couple of months, I think it was, I asked my counselor friends, what's going on here? How were you able to work with your couples? Because, I mean, I feel like I'm in a battle zone. It's more difficult than the divorce mediation. And they said, yeah, it really doesn't work, but we have to start somewhere. And I went, whoa, that doesn't make sense to me. So I started working with individuals. And what I did with the individual, and I picked the individual out of the couple who I first sat down with, and I said, why don't you, Mrs., or why don't you, Mr., actually I call them by their first name, why don't you come see me on your own? I think we can heal your marriage faster and better this way. And so they would come in, and I would, at that time I had 2 books, and I used one of the books. I said, read this book and we'll go through it. But I really want you to understand that you can turn everything around. And, you know, the most common response was, well, doesn't it take 2 to tango? And I said, look at it differently. Look at it as a bridge of love between the 2 of you. Well, it only takes one person to build that bridge, and then the other lovingly gets on that bridge too, and you meet in the middle. Or you meet more than halfway, one side or the other, it doesn't matter. The point is, what you're learning how to do is cultivate love, cultivate devotion, and then you don't have to get into all the nonsense that people talk about these days, boundaries and the right way to argue and the right way to communicate. All those things they really don't come into play. Now, what's really cool about the online course is that you take it at your own pace. It's very, very detailed. Like I said, I started saving marriages in 2001. It wasn't until 2009 that we went online. So we had it pretty well perfected. And then over the years since then, we're talking about 15 years ago, more, we added some things and took some things out. We revised it, and now it's fantastic, and you could look at our reviews. So that's like the premier offering that we have. But we also have the books that I mentioned, and those are really good. Those are more top-down views of marriage. And for some people, not many, but some people are like, oh yeah, I get it. This is amazing stuff. Thank you for this book. Thank you for breaking the cycle. Thank you for Lessons for a Happy Marriage. This really works. At the end of the day, what we have at the Marriage Foundation really works. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your comments on this video. I'd love to hear questions from you. What would you like me to talk about in future videos? Because we're putting them out almost every day. And I would love to consider you one of the Marriage Foundation family. We are here to serve you. I'm Paul Friedman. I founded the Marriage Foundation, but there's many more of us now. So thank you for stopping by. Like the video. If this is your first time, welcome. You can subscribe. God bless you and take care. Thanks.